Hello and welcome to the Alliance of Women Directors. I am Melanie Mack, the Executive Director, and today I'm in conversation with the incredible writer, director, executive producer of her latest project, Lady in the Lake, which is set to debut on Apple TV+. Help me welcome Alma Har'el. Hello, Alma. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to meet you. Your work is so beautiful. I'm really excited about this particular project. And just want to ask you, what drew you to this best-selling novel and what made you decide to create this adaptation?
Um, I was brought the book by Jean-Marc Vallée, who is no longer with us. He passed a week before we started pre-production, which was extremely tragic. And his partner, Nathan Ross, and was told that Natalie is circulating it and kind of attached probably as an actress and as a producer, which very much pushed me to read the book and was the reason I was kind of extremely curious and interested in it right away, because it's been a dream of mine to work with her. Then upon reading it, I just fell in love with these two women. Cleo was not a big character in the book. She was kind of more of a voice, or a reason for
Yes.
the investigation. And when I met with Natalie, we both agreed right away that if we're going to make this show, it would require bringing Cleo to life and constructing a whole world around her that would sort of help us tell the story of these two women and how their lives are set on a collision course. But while we're kind of examining this really murder mystery story that's full of twists, and we would get to explore their characters and life in Baltimore at the time, and feminism versus womanism, at a time in history that I think is still relevant to us today.
It absolutely is. You spoke to just capturing the convergence of the character Maddie Schwartz and Cleo Johnson's lives amidst the gripping disappearance in Baltimore in 19. This is set in 1966. Uh, how did you approach the complexities of Maddie's journey to reinvent herself as an investigative journalist?
Maddie was, to me, a character that is, very hard to embrace for a lot of, I think, Jewish, Ashkenazi, I would say, women. And I thought that it spoke to me like I wanted to capture the duality of being someone who can be oppressed and persecuted and become an oppressor, or become oblivion to other people's struggle because they're so wrapped up in their own struggle. And I think I wanted to humanize this idea, but also examine it in the context of the city, and I think Baltimore in general is just a place that has a lot of crabs in a barrel kind of situations, and when the water is hot, things are gonna go into survival mode, and when we are in survival mode, we don't necessarily see other people's struggles, and definitely not their dreams, which what this show is about, illustrating and bringing to the surface and visualizing one of the most fragile things I think each individual has, which is their dreams that nobody else could see, but them. And then also cementing it in this whole idea of this whole economy that the Black community had, which was surrounding people betting on their dreams, with the number game.
Yes, the numbers. Yes. In Beadmore, I think that was probably all over the country.
Of
Uh,
course. Harlem and in Chicago, and And then the fact that so many of those people ended up in jail or, you know, arrested, and then the state have actually taken that and turned it into the state lottery is such a
Yes.
prime prime metaphor to what is happening in our country and in our world.
Yeah, that's always interesting. Same question with your decision to, as you mentioned, Cleo is more of a voice in the novel. What was what were your thoughts around bringing Cleo's struggles, just as she was kind of navigating the underbelly of the political world in Baltimore?
What were my thoughts about illustrating it
Illustrating
or
her character, just bringing her character to life.
you know, I think that Cleo is just an extraordinary character, and I read that Laura Lipman has written the book. Partially, she was inspired by two true murders that happened in Baltimore. One, Esther Leibowitz, which a murder that was solved, and then the murder of Shirley Parker, which is really kind of never been solved, but also is extremely known as in Baltimore. Her body was found on the top of a fountain. Um, just the way we, you know, we kind of show in the show. And of course, Killer is completely fictional, and the story is by no means an offering of what really happened to Shirley Parker at all. But it was inspiring to me to read about her and a lot of women who knew her and that operated in the same circles. And what I uncovered and found out is the amount of jobs that they all juggled, and the fact that they traveled in a lot of circles in Baltimore. So they would, you know, really kind of sometimes work all over town,
Yes.
but not a lot of people knew what their reality is. And I thought that that was fascinating to see how they had to code switch in each kind of place they went to and be a different person for that place, you know, but never really got to often assert their own reality or their own dreams or their own sense of selves. And I wanted to write a character that would get to do all of that and explore all of that. And I had three wonderful Black women writers in the writing room that had extremely challenging conversations about that with me, and my EP, Boz Yakin, and who was also a writer on the show. And we just sort of all worked to, you know, try and create the right bed for Cleo to explore all of those things. Then what happened was that we were blessed with Moses Ingram, which really, you know,
Uh,
birthed this character and made it more real than I could have ever dreamt of. And her being from Baltimore, and her
yes.
family being from Baltimore, and um, you know, just informed everything once she stepped in.
And I'm sure that brought definitely a level of authenticity to the character as well.
Absolutely, in a very undeniable way and instant way.
Yes. What was your vision for the visual style and tone, particularly in capturing the noir thriller and uh, just the thematic exploration of sacrifices and things that the price that women pay essentially to have their dreams.
Well, I kind of just wanted to bring my own voice into it, you know. I didn't want to just make another noir thriller or a murder mystery. It's really, for me, it's all about just being able to tell a story in a way that is taking the genre as a dance floor, but then like kind of doing your own dance on it, you know. So yeah, I think it's extremely influenced probably by a lot of the work that I've done also with the actors with the dream coach, which allowed me to tap into a lot of metaphors and I would say personal mythological kind of, you know, Jungian ideas for each character. Um, but it's really subverting this idea that the woman is just a femme fatale and just like a dangerous, pretty thing that might kill you. And instead of it, it's kind of giving these women a lot of agency and then building a world around them that feels trippy, and kind of psychedelic like the 60s were, and at the same time is grounded in character and realism and history.
Wonderful. What was the most rewarding aspect of directing and writing? I mean, you wrote and directed. Laura Lippman, the author, gave you complete autonomy to just take the story wherever you wanted to take it. Talk to me about that.
I mean, it's life transforming, it's like you can never be the same after you do something like that, I think, as an artist, because there's a certain freedom, again, that comes to me also as a woman searching for the marvelous in her own voice and dreaming to be a writer and write for the first time my own material. So I have more control of the vision and an opportunity to explore things that maybe other people can't say, and the fear always of not being able to do that, or the fear of not being able to do it in a way that felt organic to, my style or what I find to be worth seeing and consuming when there's so much stuff on television right now was very strong. I went through a very long period during COVID of just sort of trying to work on becoming a writer, and I think that that's probably has been the biggest thing for me out of this, other than, of course, there's always like this idea of scaling up and having more people and more,
Sure.
you know, more opportunity to get a bigger canvas. But for me, really, it was the the writing, finding your I wouldn't even say finding your voice, but just even getting on the path to search for it.
Yes. And it's so beautifully, I mean, kudos to you. It's so beautifully written.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying it. Just watching just these characters unfold. What are some of the specific moments that were particularly challenging to you, if any?
It was all challenging. I think it was just every day on this show was me and my producing partner Chris Leggett. We were just like, is there gonna be one day when nothing happens and everything is smooth? And there wasn't really. I mean, it was just extremely challenging. I think the scope of it, but also the ambition behind it, and to make something that feels so engrossing and has so many twists and turns and such a complicated plot that tracks so many characters. And then at the same time, having pockets of intimacy and dreamlike sequences. I think that managing all of that tonally and strategically, and getting a crew of 500 people to believe that what we're doing and what I'm doing is, as a first time showrunner, is going to end up on screen and make sense one day. That was probably the most challenging part of it.
Okay. I love and I know this had to have been, I think it's interesting the way you have illustrated sort of the parallels between the Jewish community and the Black community. What were your thoughts about just how you would present that?
Um, I think that we live in a time of such fragmentation. A lot of people that should be working together and could be seeing each other and have actually a lot in common, um, are going against each other, and we are continuing a pattern that is very human, which comes from survival, but also the understanding of privilege and the understanding of how certain people are, indoctrinated or welcomed into institutions that run the country, and certain are always going to be kept out, if it's because of the color of their skin or if it's because they are just too what the consensus would coin radical. So I think that I wanted to explore all of those things from this very personal kind of place, without giving speeches and being preachy about it. But I just kind of wanted to look at it for a second, like, how can that happen? How do we fall into these places? How do we kind of get there? And I think for me, a lot of stuff that I've learned, again, about the economical realities that some of these people share, but also, financial illiteracy and these ideas that everything can be solved from with one tool or with one kind of aspiration. I think that that's something I had to grow out of, and I think that the show tries to show the multifaceted kind of situation we're all in when we try to understand our predicament and like our opportunities.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, what were what were some of the elements that you wanted to preserve from the novel and bring to screen?
Well, I really loved, there is a certain kind of, to me anyway, and the more I talk about it with people now, I see that it came across, but to me, there's a certain, um, humor in the show. And I found it in the book too, where Maddie was, from on one hand, very much took us in. We kind of got to see who she is and relate to some of her struggles or her trauma, her survival instincts, her aspirations, to break through. But also, it captured how much of it is ridiculous and how tone deaf she can be and how funny it is sometimes to be oblivious of the person in front of you because you're so wrapped up in yourself. And I think in general, what was important to me in the show was to kind of capture this tone that is extremely intense and obviously has all the murder, mystery, tension kind of elements to it, but then it's also funny and awkward and absurd at times. And I think that having like one leg on in the grave and one on a banana peel is how I refer to it. It's like what I went for and kind of wanted to cherish.
Hmm, thank you. What were some of what do you want the viewers to take away?
I really don't prescribe to this idea that you kind of need to, and I know a lot of stuff does, and I kind of have to say, it really rubs me the wrong way when I watch those things. I don't want to tell people what to feel. I hope that through my work they could connect to whatever is their truth and what is aligned for them, but I don't have one thing that fits all, and I think I work really hard to kind of create something that is a bit of a choose your own adventure, of experience, because I do believe different people who would watch this will take different things from it.
Absolutely. Well, it was such a pleasure speaking with you. I believe we're at time. And thank you so much for joining me today for sharing your project with our members, our directing members here at the Alliance of Women Directors.
What an
And
honor. Thank you so much for having me. And
of course, of course. And we can't wait for your project to debut, and we are rooting for you as always.
it really means the world to me to hear that. So thank you. I'm gonna take it with me today. Thank you.
Good. Have a wonderful day.
You too, love. Bye bye.